For this video, the Oxford Textbook 2012 edition by Jocelyn Blink and Ian Thornton, as well as the syllabus content for HL Economics were used. Before we start, please make sure you have studied cost, revenue, and profit theory to better understand the video. Let's begin. Perfect competition is a theoretical model of a market that has precise assumptions. Those assumptions are, in simple terms, large number of small firms, homogeneous products, perfect resource mobility, and perfect information. Let's take a deeper look. First, large number of small firms. The key point of this assumption is quantifying large. In perfect competition, there has to be so many firms to an extent where, relative to the size of the industry, each firm is so small it barely has an effect upon the output of the industry. That is how large the industry is. Also, because in perfect competition, firms' change in output does not influence the industry output, firms have to sell at a price that is set by the demand and supply of the industry as a whole. The firms are therefore called as price takers. Second, homogeneous products. This assumes that all goods or services are undistinguishable. No brand, no advertisement, no nothing to differentiate the goods or services. An example of a homogeneous product from the textbook is wheat. Third, perfect resource mobility. In perfect competition, no resource is monopolized in an industry, so no firms are limited to enter or leave the market. In other words, there are no barriers to enter nor leave the industry. Fourth, perfect information. In perfect competition, all producers and consumers have full knowledge of the industry. What this means is that producers are fully aware of market prices, costs in the industry, how the market functions, and many more. Consumers are fully aware of market prices, the quality of products, the availability of the goods, and many more. Now, let's take a look at graphs of perfect competition. When drawing graphs for perfect competition, we first have to start with a graph of the industry. The industry has an upward sloping supply curve and a downward sloping demand curve, just like the market does. It operates at the equilibrium price and quantity of PE and QE respectively. Now, as we have previously covered the assumptions, we know that firms are price takers in the industry. Therefore, firms must sell at a determined price, which is PE. The reason why firms have to produce at this price also connects to other assumptions. In perfect competition, all goods are homogeneous. Because of this, if one firm increases price while other firms maintain their price, then consumers can simply buy from other firms, as there is no incentive of buying a higher priced good. Why buy something expensive when there is a cheaper one that is exactly identical? Also, as consumers have perfect information, they will quickly note the price change and respond. As a result, firms can only produce at the determined price, no higher, no lower. From this, we can know that in perfect competition, firms have a perfectly elastic demand at price PE. Now, for perfect competition, price is equal to demand, as said before, and is also equal to average revenue and marginal revenue. This can be understood through simple mathematics. Let's say a firm produces at price P and produces and sells quantity of Q. Average revenue, or AR, is the revenue that a firm receives per unit of its sales. AR can be found by dividing the total revenue with the quantity sold. Total revenue, or TR, is a revenue a firm receives through the production of a good or service, which is P times Q. Therefore, TR divided by Q is PQ divided by Q, which is P. Marginal revenue, or MR, is the extra revenue that a firm gains when it sells one more unit of a product in a given time period. It is also known as the rate of change of total revenue as quantity changes. As the price is fixed at P, regardless of what the firm does, every addition of unit is equivalent to the addition of price P. This can be shown mathematically as well and is shown on the screen. Therefore, AR and MR are equal to the price, which is the demand in this case. Moving on. From the previous topic, we know the profit maximizing point is when marginal cost, or MC, is equal to MR. This is because if MR is greater than MC, it signals the firms that they can still increase their cost of production and produce more goods. Now, as firms will try to maximize profit at MC equals MR, let's take a look at the possible short-run situations in perfect competition. The first situation is short-run abnormal profits. Abnormal profits mean the firm is earning revenue that covers more than their total costs, including the opportunity costs. Let's take a look here. The industry is in equilibrium at price PE and quantity QE. Therefore, firms will have their demand curve price PE. As firms will try to produce at profit maximizing point, they will produce at quantity Q, where MC is equal to MR. At that point, AR, or revenue per unit, is greater than the AC, which is the cost per unit. This can simply be seen from the graph as AR curve, or demand curve, is above the AC curve at quantity Q. Therefore, at Q, AR is PE and AC is C. Subtracting C from PE, which is P minus C, we get the abnormal profit that the firm is making per unit. If we multiply P minus C with Q, we will get the total amount of abnormal profit the firm is making, which is the rectangle shown in the graph. The second situation is short-run loss. Loss means the firm is earning revenue that cannot cover the total cost. Let's take a look at the graph. The graph is very similar to that of abnormal profit, but the difference is that the AC curve is above the demand curve. This is why the cost, which is C, is greater than the price PE at profit maximizing output Q. Therefore, the firm is making loss of C minus PE per unit, and by multiplying Q, we get the total amount of loss the firm is making, which is equivalent to the rectangle shown in the graph. Then, how about in the long run? The difference between long run and short run is that in the long run, all factors of production are variable, while in the short run, at least one factor of production is considered to be fixed. Let's say that firms are making abnormal profits in the short run. Remember the assumptions of perfect competition? There's perfect resource mobility and perfect knowledge in the market. Therefore, other firms that are not in the market will have knowledge that they can earn abnormal profits if they join the market. This attracts other firms, which will increase the supply in the market. The supply curve will therefore shift to the right, lowering the market price. The market price will continue to decrease if firms are making abnormal profit, as other firms will keep entering the market. This will stop at a point where market price is equal to the average cost of production. In other words, the supply curve of the firm will decrease until it intersects with MC and AC at the same point. At that point, firms will be making normal profit, which is when firms earn revenue just sufficiently to cover the total cost and remain competitive in the market. From the graph on the screen, we can see that the final quantity that firms produce, which is Q4, is less than the initial quantity shown as Q initial. The final market price P2 is lower than what it started with, which is P1, while the industry's quantity increased from Q2 to Q3. Therefore, we can know that if firms were making abnormal profits in the short run, the market will reach an equilibrium where the price is lower and the industry's quantity is greater. However, individual firms now produce less at Q4. The same goes to short-term loss situation. Unlike short-term abnormal profit, in this case, firms will leave the market as they do not see the reason to continue producing in the market. This will reduce the overall supply in the market, shifting the supply curve to the left, increasing the market price. The supply will continue to decrease as long as firms are making loss. When firms are no longer making loss but making normal profit, the decrease will stop. From the graphs, we can see that the final quantity each firm produces, Q3, is greater than the initial production, which is Q initial. The overall price increased from P initial to P1, while the overall quantity in the industry decreased from QE to Q2. Therefore, we can know that if firms were making losses in the short run, the market will reach an equilibrium where the price is higher and the industry's quantity is smaller, and where individual firms produce more quantity of goods. To conclude, in the long run, a perfectly competitive market will always resolve to a normal profit-making point. Lastly, let's look at efficiency in market structures. This lesson can be applied to other market structures, such as monopoly, so do not hesitate to apply this knowledge whenever you come across a problem regarding market structures. Let's begin with productive efficiency. A firm is said to be productively efficient if it produces its product the lowest possible unit cost, or the lowest possible average cost. The lowest point of the AC curve is also where MC cuts through. In fact, MC always cuts through the lowest point of the AC curve. This is a mathematical relationship but will not be dealt within this video. What you should know is that at productively efficient points, firms are using their resources as efficiently as possible and resources are not being wasted. Therefore, the productively efficient point is when AC is equal to MC. Another type of efficiency is allocative efficiency. This is the socially optimal level of output. It occurs when suppliers are producing the optimal mix of goods and services required by the consumers. How do we know the allocatively efficient point? Well, price reflects the value that consumers place on goods and is shown through the demand curve. Marginal cost reflects the cost to society of all the resources used in producing an extra unit of a good. What this means is that if price is greater than the marginal cost, then the consumers would be valuing the good more than the cost it took to make it. On the other hand, if the marginal cost was greater than the price, then firms are using more resources to produce than the value it gives to the consumers. Therefore, the allocatively efficient point is where MC is equal to AR, when producers are using the exact amount of resources to produce the good at a price that the consumers think it deserves. In a perfectly competitive market, it will be where MC intersects the demand curve, as demand is equal to AR and M. Allocatively efficient point is also called as a point of Pareto optimality, which is a point when it is impossible to make one person better off without making someone else worse off. So, if we combine this knowledge with the short run and the long run situations, we can examine the efficiency of the perfectly competitive market. In the short run, firms will most likely produce at profit maximizing level of output, as they will be producing at where MC equals MR, which is equal to AR. The firms will be producing at the allocatively efficient point while not being productively efficient. This is true regardless if the firms are making abnormal profits or losses. In the long run, however, as firms will be earning normal profit, both efficiencies are met because the MR curve, the AC curve, the demand curve intersects at one point. Hence, in the long run, perfect competition will produce at a point where it is productively efficient as well as allocatively efficient. That is it for perfect competition. As an examination tip, try to know the difference between perfectly competitive market and other market structures, such as monopoly. Why perfect competition may be favorable or why it may be not. It will help you for evaluation. Hope this was helpful. Thank you.